that could potentially create a livelihood for me. Every job that I've had in my career, I've always brought out those talents. Like if it was working for a company, and the next thing I knew, I was writing training manuals or I was conducting the training, I would write, amazing emails and things like that. I would find ways, and I just kept doing that. I love being on the telephone, talking to people. I've been in sales, and I get a very good feeling from that. But there's this completely other career that I have, and I've let it either sit in boxes or I keep myself quiet. And it was last week I was talking with my boyfriend, and he said, I believe in you. You need to believe in what you're doing. Now, and I sat there, and in my head, I'm like, wait a minute, that's the stuff I say to people. But it's true. And so if I'm humble and I confuse that with, excuse me, believing in myself or not, with, I have a responsibility to God. You go to work, you show up at 8, you do your job, and that's for the people that you work for. My boss is God. And so if I'm going to show up to work and I'm going to do the things that he's asked me to do, whether I think it's right now, or I could have done it better, or that wasn't worded correctly, I suddenly have taken a shift in my thought process. This is the directions that God gave me, and now I have to follow through. And I wouldn't want to hurt his feelings. I mean, if we all have our way of believing in our relationship with God. But to me, the way that it works is when I read the Bible or when I pray, I pretty much talk to God as if he's here. Like as if he's he's a part of my family. Together with my parents, he made me. So my relationship with him is as if I'm not doing my job. And so I went into I'm really sorry. I've done this so many times before. I fall backwards if something goes wrong. But I've created this CEO, God. And I now have a responsibility to do what I'm supposed to be doing. If I'm going to do it for a really mean boss in a corporation, or where they can degrade and make you feel bad, or coworkers can make you feel a certain way, why wouldn't I do it for somebody who loves as much as God? So that's where we are. And today I thought I ended up talking a little bit longer than I thought. Yeah, we're about 20 minutes in, but I wanted to open it up with that. And as I was going through different children's stories I've written and kind of flipping through things, I came upon something that it was actually written by me in 1994. And I've kept it, and it's really cute because I can see that it must have been on an electric typewriter that I had at the time. I know for sure I did not have a printer. So I'm looking at this sort of typewriter print, and it really took me back. And I thought, you know what? Maybe I'll just share that today. So that was paper you heard. I do love paper. It is called My Divine. Let me see if I can get some mood music going with it and see if that helps this little story along. Let's see here. Ooh, that's perfect. Okay, it is called My Divine. On the east side of our home, the sun was rising clearly and beautifully one spring morning. I pulled the mini blinds in our kitchen on the opposite side of our home and noticed that there were dark clouds about to burst. And they did. I turned my back to continue my morning routine and looked out the window again, and this time I saw an attractive, well-groomed elderly woman standing under a tree in our front yard. The rain was a downpour at this point. The woman ran quickly in our driveway to get under a tree that totally covered our entire home. I called out to her to offer assistance, maybe a newspaper or an umbrella to keep her dry. What she chose to do was chat with me through this brief rain. I learned about her family. Her husband had passed away. They had ran a construction business. Her son died at a very young age. She spent most of their time helping out with the grandchildren. She told me she was 70 years old. She had salt and pepper hair and beautiful olive skin and deep dark eyes with smile lines reaching to her hairline. She was fit and enjoyed her morning strolls. She told me of a neighbor of mine just 2 doors down who had raised 14 children and never complained a day in her young life as a mother. My new friend standing on my porch talking also informed me that this is why my neighbor's children were always taking care of their mother. I invited her to come in. She declined and peeked through the door around me and noticed my newborn sleeping soundly. I was tired and had been, even though I was just beginning to greet this new day. She looked into my eyes and said, "These are the best days of your life. None will ever compare. They seem to get richer as your children develop into adults, but none will compare to those recent days ahead of you when they need you most and in your close, comforting control." I had never seen this woman again, although she told me she walked these streets often. Guardian angel delivering a message to a much-needed now mother of 2. I look back on this conversation and think to myself, the sun was shining and rising on the side of my home, the other a seasonal downpour to keep this woman on my stoop? And truly, as she walked off with the plastic I had given her to keep her dry, the clouds cleared, and it quit raining. Being so recent, I do not think I've learned everything that there was to gain from this acquaintance. But I do realize this. Sometimes it seems as though we're going against a smooth grain when building a family, but there is no other structure more important. The splinters that sometimes hurt, yet to take the time to put the pieces together and accept that when times are difficult, to pay attention. Don't complain, for these are the times that turn out to be the most important. To learn, teach, and to build character on. I've learned that it is a slow process, the adjustments to make, and to take time to learn from the people out there that come from a strong family themselves. In our brief time together, I could sense clearly everything she had gained from her upbringing to give her strength, and that in which she shared with her children and grandchildren, and now me. We cannot waste these encounters. I didn't know it then, but as I look back on it now, I became richer in love to my children because of it. So obviously, it's 2021, and I wrote this in 1994. My girls are now grown women, young women, and the reason why I shared that with you today is because it's such a greater message in there than just this encounter. I call it a divine experience because it is true. We lived there at least another year, and I had never seen her again, even though she told me she walked there often. So I believe in messengers. I believe in the messages that they send us in whatever format that might be. So today, as I begin to close, I will leave you with this. If you are a believer in God, I have a favor to ask, that you pray for your gifts to come to light if you feel like you are in a rut, that you ask God in the universe to help you with whatever that might be. To, if you know exactly what that gift is, to reach out. I like to put, open up my hands, my fingers, and just kind of let go and release and say, this is what I want to do. I want a publishing company, or I want to have more books published. I want to get on the radio again. I want to just say those things, because if it is a gift from God, then it's your job to serve God and do that. Do that very thing. I have also, in my past, again, I know that when I'm done with this, I'm going to have a very good feeling inside, because I felt like I was serving God. Even if, as I state in this show, the Bev D Show was created to help one. If more people are inspired by it, great. But if one person is, and that helps them along the way, even better. Because when you do something like this and you put yourself out there, you don't know exactly what can come from it. We are on all platforms. The Bev D Show is on all platforms. So wherever you get your podcasts, whether that's Spotify, iHeart, you can find me on LinkedIn and Facebook and the social media, Instagram platforms. If this is something that you want to share, please do. If you think it might help someone else out. If it's something you want to comment on, you certainly can do that as well. But I would love, here's what I do know, that 100% of 100 people will not hear this if I don't do it. So my odds are really good that there might be somebody that hears this, and it might make a difference if I actually do it. It sounds very elementary. It sounds very simple. But to be honest with you, as I am, I don't do a lot or put the gifts to work like I should. God will see us through. If you are not a believer, there certainly must be something that you believe in that's bigger than you, that you can put out these efforts to, that you can say, this is what I wish, this is what I want. I'm one to say, hey, I would love to have $1 million, but I don't play the lottery. What are my chances of winning the lottery if I never play? See how that works? So I'll leave you with that thought, and for you guys to please know that this is so much fun to be able to put these thoughts out there that might make a difference. It is Monday, October 25th. My name is Bev. This is the Bev D Show. I have really enjoyed sharing these thoughts, and potential, maybe it'll open up an opportunity for you to see things a little bit differently. But I definitely want to thank you for listening. Thank you for the messages. Thank you for the downloads.